Hello subscribers. Today we'll learn about object-oriented programming in Codesys. Yeah. So today's topic is inheritance. So in inheritance, you can actually uh, allow two different function blocks, a base class and a derived class. Okay. So basically, and the derived class will inherit all the methods and the variables from the base class. Okay. To make things easier for you to understand, okay, we'll we'll use we'll use an example where I actually created two function blocks, yeah, which is one of them is the father, which is the base class, and of course the son who will inherit from the father. So in just to be explicit, in codices, the inheritance is called extend. Okay, you can see with the extend keyword over here. Okay, so and when you inherit, and of course, like in real life, you after inheriting something, you can also add your own things. Okay, so after in so you the son will get all the variables and all the methods from the father. Okay, as well as he can also add its own method. Okay, okay. So now let me slowly go through the example before I explain more about our code. Okay, so you can see over here in the father, you can see it actually has one input in one output, as well as the its own variable, and I also added a timer just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so this is in the main code. It's running the timer. Yeah, so it will increment the father variable by a certain amount every 1 second. Okay, so and in the father variable we actually have two methods. One is to basically double the input the input variable, as well as another one is actually to multiply by 5. Okay, so this is a very basic, this is what we, so in the base class, the father, we keep it in a very basic manner. Okay, so you can actually predict what's the results coming out. So, and in the sun, you can notice that I actually created a same method, yeah, a same multiply method over here. But however, okay, yeah, create a same multiply method over here, and it's actually using the what's it called? And it's actually multiplying the input the input one together with our new input 2 that's available in the uh, function block input. Okay, so basically I'm overriding the multiply method with my own multiply method. Okay, and you can also use your own variables and other stuff that you added in the function block. However, there's also, you can see I offer a third method called super multiply, which basically allows you, which basically shows if you use the function uh, super pointer to do a multiplication. Okay, so what is this used for? So sometimes maybe you might, instead of, you do not want to use the multiply method of the son, you want to use the one that's being that was written for the father. You can use this super pointer to access the function from its base class. Okay, just one function up. Okay, so, and lastly, I also just like how I added a variable, I also added a new method, yeah, to show that you can actually increase the number of you can also add your own stuff to the function blocks. Okay, so now let me, and you can see that function block over here has nothing, yeah, over here, and that's only one input. And when we go back to the program, you notice that even though my to show, okay, you can see that my father actually has an input of A, which is 10, and this is I can actually call the variable plus the method to double and to multiply. So now, as we go down to the sun, I need to use a new input. Okay, I need to input the first one, the first input requirement from the father, as well as the new input that I've added. Yeah, but with the inheritance, I'm able to access the variable that was declared in the father as well as the the method to double the value. And this is to see the multiply. In multiply, we'll multiply using the sun's method of multiplying, and you can also do minus, which is the new method we created. And lastly, this super multiply is to show you the result that we can actually do the same multiplication as what the father actually did. Okay, so note that why is it I cannot put the super pointer over here is because of restriction from Codesys. You can only put the super pointer in the sun itself, in another method itself. Okay, so without further ado, let me run this program. Okay, so you can see, okay, why is this? Okay, wait, I think the code has been running for a while. Let me reset the code. Okay, so you see, as we start, right, my father variable is actually increasing by the standard that is actually okay, you can see that my father is increasing due to my due to my code over here. Okay, and however, you also notice that the son, the variable that the son inherited from the father is not increasing. Okay, so this is to show that like the code that's being written in the main area, right, is not inherited. Okay, so whatever program code you run here will only exist in the base class. Okay, what's inherited is just the variables and the methods. Okay, so next you can see that the double, my son can the doubling has the same results, but for multiply you can see that the result is the input 10 times 5. Okay, so it's 50 as well, but for the sun it's actually multiplying 10 times 20, that's why it's 200, which is the new code in the multiply. Yeah, but if you use the super multiply, you get the same thing as the father. Okay, and lastly, the new function minus, where I actually take 10 minus 17 and you get minus 7. So yeah, so you can slowly do your own experiment and digest what is actually happening. Yeah, so now here's the thing, why do you want to do inheritance? Okay, so this is actually this is actually very good to keep your code very neat. Let me give you a practical example. Okay, if I go over to the okay, so I have actually created a function block called motor. So let's just say that you actually have a few motors that you want to run. Okay, and there is actually a mix of uh and the motor has a very basic function. Basically you have a motor and you actually want to turn turn off, or you want to turn on. Yeah, and basically another common function that the motor will do is actually to turn. Okay, which I do so using a update angle method. Okay, These are very very basic functions of a motor. So what if okay, so if I actually run the motor with a sample code, let me add it in. Okay, and then if I initialize it, in this motor code, I can actually add a variable. I can actually control it using a variable, the speed. Okay, and I can turn on, and let's see, check the angle over here. Okay, so I think this is not, oh, it's defined already. So let me go in. Okay, so over here, so you can see that I can change the motor variable is able to be turned on, and after I turn on, the angle will change. Okay, so what if I have a similar object? There is a, maybe it can be like, instead of a motor, it can be a pump. So a pump you can also turn on, you can turn off, and you can, but however, like, you also need to use the instead of angle, you probably need to calculate what's it called? You calculate the amount of water that's pumping through. So you only need to create the same new product. Okay, sorry, a new function block. Yeah, and you just need to inherit from it. Okay, you can only need to inherit from the motor. Wait, let me change the name. Okay, let's just say we're inheriting a motor. So instead of turning, okay, instead of turning on and off the motor itself, you might want to okay, sorry, instead of calculating the angle of the motor, maybe it'll become you are actually tracking the amount of water that's being pumped through the water, so you need a different calculation. So yeah, so you can actually just create a method with the same name to override this input. Okay, and instead you can, and in its place, instead of you adding speed, maybe you can add the, what's it called, yeah, maybe you can add a new variable, or you can just access, like maybe instead of like turning 1 degree per second, you want to modify it by a factor of like maybe 1000 liter per second or something like that. Yeah, 100 liter per second. Yeah, and you might also and there's no limit, and there's actually and the angle, and it doesn't really have an angle, it just accumulates, so you don't want to refresh it, and voila, and with, okay, and that's all. You do not need to add the other methods from the previous class. Okay, you don't need to add code for turning on or turning off. Yeah, so that it's actually uh uh and if you need to turn on and turn off, and there's any bug, you can also edit over here, so that all of the methods will have the same effect also. Okay, so this is actually just to demonstrate it's very easy. It's actually very easy for you to do a change up. Okay, and allows you to keep your code very neat and tidy, because you only tell the previous user you're only using, they are the same thing, but there's only one change. And if you really need to access like the angle of the if you really need to access the use the methods from the previous class, you can still use it in the super pointer, just like what we did with the sun over here. Okay, yeah. So okay, just to finish up the demo. Okay. Wait. Oh wait. Uh, I'll just run this code and let you see what's happening. Okay. And I made the mistake where I actually did not add the timer over here. Yeah. So just note that actually there are some things that like what you actually add in the main area, it's not being brought forward to the other existing area, to the other derived classes. Okay. So now with that, yeah. And just to let you know, the reason why I actually have to call the timer in the main area instead of a method is because timers don't work very well in the method. Yeah. So you can see it's like a totally different way of calculating. Yeah. Or it's going to negative is because it's looping the data. Okay. So just to summarize, just remember. So we learned that the derived class, we actually inherit all variables and methods from the base class. And also note that the main area of the code is actually not inherited, so you must write your own code over there, especially for timer codes. Okay. Secondly, you need to you can also, using inheritance, you can add extra methods and you can also override methods from the base class. Okay. And thirdly, you can override the inherit methods, but you can still use the super pointer. Okay. And lastly, inheritance is a good way for you to keep your code neat and tidy without a lot of subsections for you to check and debug if anything goes wrong. Okay, changing one place change all the other derived classes as well. Okay, so that's about all. Thank you. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hey.